Time Warner Cable and Metro Sports presents RacinBoys TV with Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott. A look at racing in the Midwest and around the country. Brought to you in part by McCarthy Chevrolet and RacinBoys.com.
Welcome to another edition of RacinBoys TV, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. We're the RacinBoys. He's Kirk Elliott. I'm Scott Traylor from Sports Radio 810 WHB and RacinBoys.com. We are at Kansas Speedway. Kirk, we're just a couple days away from the first test here on the new pavement at Kansas.
Yeah, one thing we do know before they put a car out on this racetrack, it's going to be very fast, as all newly repaved tracks are. But the difference is how much more banking this track has got. With the progressive banking, you can really tell the difference looking into the corners here at Kansas Speedway. We'll get the driver's views soon enough when they get out onto the racetrack come next week.
A lot of work still going on out here at the racetrack, Kirk, as we speak. The stripes have not been laid down on the surface, and from up here where we're at, up in the grandstands, it's hard to tell how wide the groove is. It looks a little narrower to me. I'm not sure it is, but visually it looks like it is.
Yeah, you really can't tell for sure until they get the cars out on the track, but I agree with you about that. But it's going to be a very different Kansas Speedway, that's for sure.
Kirk, I think it's safe to say that we're probably going to see at least 20 cars break the track record here at Kansas Speedway when they come out here in just a little over a month away. Your thoughts?
Oh, I think that's for sure. I mean, you see that at all the other new paved racetracks around the country, and there's been several of them this year. And that means that at first it's going to be down to the bottom of the racetrack, but I think with the progressive banking that if you get enough rubber into the track that once race day comes on Sunday, October 21st, you'll see that groove move up a little bit. At least we hope so.
We know that the bottom has to wear up, and then they've got to search for grip, and that's when they start moving up the track, and that's when the groove widens out. But as Kirk alluded to, we've seen it with some of these configurations around the country that they immediately have two grooves, and that's what we can hope for here starting next week with the test at Kansas Speedway. Kirk, let's get into a little NASCAR news. Last weekend, Greg Biffle picks up his second win at Michigan International Speedway.
And what a tough day for Jimmy Johnson and Hendrick Motorsports. They had engines go in the Jeff Gordon car, and Jimmy Johnson really had the race won with 5 laps to go, and he fell out of the race. But Greg Biffle has had a great season on these types of racetracks, and I would look for him to be a key factor. He's already won 2 races here at Kansas Speedway, so these big intermediate style racetracks have really suited his style. And nobody talks about Greg Biffle for the championship this year, but he certainly has the performance and the way to get it done for the championship.
If Greg Biffle could win the Sprint Cup championship, he'd be the first driver to win it in all 3 of NASCAR's Elite Series. Mark Martin had a very scary wreck, Kirk, and just a few feet one way or the other, and it could have been a terrible outcome.
And right before that, he was dominating this race. Looked like he had the car to beat, and then coming down on pit road, a very scary situation, but he was able to come out unscathed. But Mark Martin, he's still competitive, can still get it done out on the racetrack.
Going from the big 2 mile at Michigan to the little half mile, one of the fan favorites, and I know a lot of people have their eyes on Bristol this weekend, Kirk. We know that Bruton Smith has taken away the grip up in the top groove. A lot of people did not like the 3-wide racing at Bristol. I loved it. I think it's a mistake, but Bruton Smith listened to the fans, and he has narrowed up the groove at Bristol. I'm anxious to see how that's going to come out.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen? I have no idea. I mean, if it's going to be back like the old Bristol, they're going to be rooting and gouging people out of the way, and I guess that's what a lot of the fans like. But I'm with you, Scott. I like the side-by-side racing that they had at Bristol the last couple of years.
Kirk, we were hopeful that we were going to talk about some great racing down at State Fair Speedway last weekend at the Missouri State Fair. We had the ASCS Warrior Region as well as the Lucas Oil MLRA late models and A-mods, 3 of the top series of dirt racing around this area. But unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about some accidents. The first one involved the young and up-and-coming driver, Jordan Creason, who was leading his sprint car heat race, gets upside down, has to be life flighted out, and then only moments later, the Battle of the Badges contest, one of the cars got away from one of the police officers, went over the guardrail, through the fence and hit some spectators down on the front straightaway in the infield.
Yeah, it could have been a whole lot worse. Fortunately, no one was killed, but there were some injured people that was first and foremost on our minds as we drove out of Sedalia on Sunday night, and our thoughts and prayers for speedy recovery for everybody involved. But it's certainly a wake-up call for all track operators to take a look at the fencing and everything that's around their racetrack to keep everybody safe whenever they attend the races.
Kirk, the question is, do we return to State Fair Speedway? I think it's very important not to end the legacy of that racetrack on such a sour note. It's such a historical track. Your thoughts on that? I think that we definitely need to go back there before they wrap up the history of that racetrack.
Oh, absolutely, and I hope that's a long time to come. I mean, just, you know, make sure that everybody is safe at these events. It's a great facility at the Missouri State Fair, and I would hope that that didn't spell the end of racing down there, and I don't think it will. I think they'll be back next year, and they'll make everything a lot safer for everybody down in the infield.
Quickly, Kirk, should they have called that race? Your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any question about that. It was already pushing 10 o'clock. There was a long delay to take care of Jordan Creason's injuries already during the night. And when they were able to go, if they had decided to continue on, it would have pushed it well past midnight. It was the last day of the fair. And I don't think there was any other decision to make but to call it at that point.
And there definitely had to be an accident report filled out. We had a lot of police officers down there because of the Battle of the Badges, and that would have hindered their investigation as well, I believe.
Yeah, there's just no question about that. So in my mind, there's no controversy on any of the decisions that were made by the Fair Board or the race promoters. And, you know, again, everybody's thoughts and prayers should be to every one of those people that were injured in the accidents on Sunday night.
When we come back, we're going to be visiting with Chris Schwartz, the Vice President of Marketing here at Kansas Speedway. We'll be talking about next week's test, as well as two MLRA drivers, the current point leader, John Anderson, as well as the leading Rookie of the Year, Mark Dotson. Then we're going to wrap up the show with Brian Brown. Stay tuned for more of RacinBoys TV, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet, right here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports.
Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutall. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay, but you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
I've got this friend, big NASCAR fan.
Yeah!
Totally into it. I say, man, I don't get it. What am I missing here? My buddy says, dude, you have no idea.
Come on out to Kansas Speedway and see what you've been missing. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 on October 21st start at $64, and we have more pricing options than ever before. Call 866-460-RACE or visit kansasspeedway.com.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. We're at Kansas Speedway, where they're finishing up the final touches of the repaving job that they're doing. They've got a test out here next week, so we thought we would visit with the Vice President of Marketing at Kansas Speedway, Chris Schwartz.
But we've had a great summer at Kansas Speedway. You know, certainly going into the late spring and early part of the summer, we were concerned obviously with rain and really the delay that any of that would bring to the project. The project's gone without a hitch. We're actually a little bit early in terms of when we anticipated having Cup cars test. We're 1 week away, literally, from Cup cars being on the racetrack here, and it's no small feat to have the entire oval dug up effectively and put back in place with you know, with the variable degrees of banking that we've got. We're excited about the 3 lanes that and possibly more than that when you start looking at guys straddle on the lines and everything else. So you know, 3-4 lanes of racing, and I think the speeds are obviously going to go up, and there's going to be a lot of side-by-side action. So we're excited about that. Throw in the fact that we've put a road course on the infield of the racetrack. Adds kind of to the mix, but really has enhanced the speedway and positions us really well for not only, you know, professional sports car racing in the future, but a lot of car clubs, a lot of driving schools from an exotic perspective, and just a lot of activities that we can do with the property that we haven't been able to do in the past. So at all the computer simulation that we've done in the design leading up to this construction project, and then the fact that we've done some simulation now after the project is almost complete, you know, it all leads us to believe that things are going to be great right out of the box. And so hopefully we don't have to get into a situation where we're running Rich and Petty driving experience cars around the racetrack, not rubbering it in with alternative methods, and the track, you know, the track takes the rubber, and we feel really confident that that'll be the case. It should be a great couple days of testing, open to the public, which we're excited about. NASCAR and ultimately Goodyear have allowed us to make the test available to the public, which is exciting, so that our fans can see the first laps that are going to get turned on the racetrack. You know, I think heading into the race weekend, because it's a chase race and obviously the premium that's placed on that, and one of the last races of the season, you know, and the fact that we'll have, you know, 2 races again next year, you know, it's important for the guys to get out on the racetrack. Certainly by that point in time, we'll have a good handle on the tire wear, the compound, and what Goodyear brings back. And at that point, it's going to be, you know, getting rubber into the racetrack. And we looked at this project before the season started. Obviously, it was daunting, but it was intriguing, and it's really cool to be have our position in the chase, have the intrigue of new surface, new teams competing for the chase, drivers that maybe don't have a good history here, teams and drivers that do have a really good history here, but frankly can't use it. So it's the great equalizer, and it's going to be a busy 5-6 days around here when those guys get here, and it's going to test their mettle. But you know, Sprint Cup is the pinnacle of motorsports in North America, and you know, they'll handle it. So the racing surface will be as wide, the apron is not as wide. Because effectively, when you build a racetrack, you build from the wall down, and so in order to achieve the degrees of banking, you got to go higher on the crash wall, and you come down to a lower point as it relates to the apron. And I think that of all the chase races, I'm obviously, for obvious reasons, looking forward to, you know, being here at Kansas Speedway, but I think the industry is looking forward to it, and our fans from Nebraska and Colorado, and certainly up in Iowa and Missouri, and obviously in Kansas, and just really the DMA here are chomping at the bit to get this thing going. As we move into Wednesday of event week, it's build the city. Right, you know, this place will swell with tens of thousands of people living here, literally on our campgrounds, and then north of 100,000 being here, you know, on race day on Sunday, and just shy of that on Saturday. And you know, we continue to push NASCAR for a night race. We're hoping we get a night race, whether it's next year or certainly the year after that. You know, clearly we're going to put the road course through its paces next year. We're really looking forward to getting something cemented and on the schedule. There's a menu of options for fans, and I think the easiest thing to do is go to KansasSpeedway.com. You know, click on the tickets tab, and there's a myriad of things there for you to have a look at.
What a great addition to Kansas Speedway Chris Schwartz has been. Pat Warren has to be happy with that hire. We look forward to working with Chris in years to come. When we come back, we're going to be talking to some of the Lucas Oil MLRA late model drivers, the current point leader John Anderson, as well as the current Rookie of the Year leader Mark Dotson. We'll be back with more Racing Boys TV here in a moment.
In ancient times, hordes of people gathered to watch gladiators battle to achieve victory and honor. Some things never change. See the toughest competitors of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series do battle at Kansas Speedway. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 on October 21st start at $64, and we have more pricing options than ever before. Bring your own cooler, and parking is free. For tickets, call 866-460-RACE or visit KansasSpeedway.com.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinions, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Welcome back to Racing Boys TV, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. We're at Kansas Speedway. We're going to talk some dirt late model racing right now. Coming up over Labor Day weekend down at Lucas Oil Speedway. The Lucas Oil MLRA Series will be back in action. John Anderson is a two-time champion of this series, and he's well on his way to a third title already, having won 6 races this year. We visit with John and the Rookie of the Year title contender, Mark Dotson.
You know, we've been fast since last year's about July. Feel like we've been fast and consistent, and you know, it's carried over to this year, and we've had a great year. I mean, hardly out of the top 5. You know, it's been really good. Everything's been prepared. My crew and everything's done a great job. You know, we're always prepared when we show up, and that's, I believe, the difference. My crew chief that's been with me for forever, he left it for another opportunity, which is great for him, but we still talk, and he helps me still, and you know, that's what makes it go around. You know, he's been helping me since 2007, since I've been racing with Boss and his wife, and everything's been going good. His son's starting to race a little bit in our other late model and doing well, so it's pretty exciting around Shopquick. Well, you know, I mean, sometimes in the off season you get a lot of chance to reflect and change things. We kind of steered away from that because we felt like just the last half of last year is when we really started picking up the pace. So we didn't want to change too much in our program, just kind of make it a little more efficient, and that's what we did, and it's really paid off, and we feel like we got a real good handle on everything. We built a new car over the winter, and that's turned out wonderful. You know, Mastersville gave us another good car, and we've got her tuned up, and everything's going good. You know, well, I started racing for him back in 2007, and you know, for a driver to stay somewhere for more than a couple of years is unheard of. So we're pretty fortunate to be able to do that with both of us and our relationship, you know, and go through some changes within the team through that period of time, and we've persevered, and we kind of know how it goes. I mean, there's really not a lot of pressure he puts on me, and you know, he knows that I want to try and do the best I can, and he gives me what I need to do that, and we work together as a team and stick through all them tough parts to get back up at the top. You know, with the economy and everything, you know, we've been talking about it for years. It seems like we have a lot of fans still. The car counts is down a little bit. There's different things that contribute to that. You know, I mean, I don't study on it a lot. I just know that it's pretty tough, and you know, to be able to afford to keep coming out here, and you know, we constantly got to find a happy medium of how much to win, how much to start, how many cars, you know, and that type of thing to really be able to keep the series going. Otherwise, we'll all be racing weekly, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to try and step out and do some bigger shows, you got to be able to race against the competition, and that's what makes it kind of tough sometimes.
It's something we always wanted to do, and figured I better get at it before I got any older here, so we dove off in it this year. Well, we run modifieds there basically for about 20 years, and we've traveled quite a bit around racing them, and you know, and got the hang of them fair, and won quite a few races. But this thing here, it's just different than that. You know, I mean, the modified deal I'm really comfortable in. I feel like I can get in it and compete with anybody, or have a chance to. In the late model deal right now, we're just trying to get to that point, you know, where we feel like we can compete. And I think we're getting closer. It's just tough. Just getting used to how they get into the corners, and trying to get, we had little front end problems that we've been working on, and we're getting it lined out, I think. And I think our front end's been our biggest issue, getting it fixed, and it's starting to roll a little bit better for us now. But the brakes, and I mean, if you're a modified driver and you haven't run a late model, the brakes are really, really sensitive on these, and they turn in so hard. And just learning to not overdrive the car, I think, is a big thing. No, really, I mean, we were just hoping if we could get in the top 5 in this deal, that would be pretty good for us starting off. So, I mean, you know, we could be back a lot farther than what we're at if some of the guys that raced with them all the time. So that's kind of deceiving, you know, a little bit. But like the provisional deal is what really killed us in the points right off, because if we would have got to start a race or two that we didn't get any points for early, it would have made a lot of difference to us in the points battle too. So, I mean, it's a little bit deceiving, really. Right now, we've just been focusing only on the late model, just trying to get used to it. The modified that we're going to run it at the Jamboree up in Minnesota here shortly, and that'll probably be the first time we'll get back in it.
Well, Mark Dotson, who has won a lot of feature races driving a modified, explains about as well as anyone I've heard the challenges of transitioning from a modified to a dirt late model, two completely different types of racing. We appreciate both John Anderson and Mark Dotson joining us here on RacinBoys TV. When we come back, we're going to talk sprint car racing. He almost pulled it off at the Knoxville Nationals, came a car length short. We'll be back with Brian Brown when RacinBoys TV continues here on Metro Sports.
Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay. But you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. Don't forget, RacinBoys TV is brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Check them out at mccarthychevrolet.com. Kirk, we're going to talk a little sprint car racing right now. Most people that know anything about sprint car racing know that Brian Brown, who lives in the little town just east of Kansas City, Grain Valley, is one of the top sprint car drivers in America. He's won a lot of races over his career, but I don't think any of those wins mean more to him than his second place finish at the 52nd annual Knoxville Nationals.
And as great a driver as Brian is, he's also one of the great team owners of America. He's been able to put this whole package together in a short time. Even though he's not running the whole World of Outlaws circuit, he still has one of the top teams in all of sprint car racing.
You know, going up there and running second, you know, our biggest race of the year, Super Bowl, is nothing to hang your head about. Everybody on this, Casey's General Store, FVP, Searsboro Telephone Company, Impact, Signs, Awnings and Wraps, Dittsfield Transfer, Champion Oil, Maxim, Weld Wheels, Hoosier Tires, Pro Shocks, Vortex Wings. Everybody on this thing does a really good job. You know, really probably the biggest thing that's helped our program this year is our Charlie Garrett engines. He's did a real good job and kind of turned our program around. I feel like that we got the best engines in the country, and that definitely helps when we go to a place like Knoxville. So we're going to use this as not necessarily a stumbling block, but almost a stepping stone to just make us want to work harder and come back next year and hopefully get one spot higher up on the podium. Well, really, I became a team owner just by kind of accident. I really didn't have a choice. We had to make a move at the end of 2008 and became a car owner at the end of the year, and hired Chad Morgan, which is still with me today, to be a part of this team. And it's been a progress. It's been a struggle at times, but it's been a learning experience. And I feel like every single day, every single year, we're getting better and learning what to do, what not to do. And the biggest thing, what helps is having good people to work on the car. Like I say, Chad Morgan, my crew chief, but just getting the great partners such as Casey's General Store and FVP and Searsboro Telephone Company and the people I listed before. And I think I checked back the other day, we got 38 marketing partners on this team, whether it's cash or product or whatever. And that's what what it takes to assemble a good team. Not just I'm the one that gets to come out and do interviews with you guys, but it's the people behind the scenes that are doing the work, buying into our beliefs of our race team and wanting to be a part of what we're doing. That's to me, that's what makes the difference between going to the Knoxville Nationals and running the C-Main and having a chance to win. Well, when you're first growing up, you're usually driving for your family-owned team, and that was the case with me, with Danny and my grandpa. And you get to a certain point, and you think, man, I want to be a big shot, hired gun. You want to show up at 5:30 and show up with your race suit on and go out and drive it and then leave 10 minutes afterwards. Well, you get to that stage, and then you think, gosh, they're not really as clean as I want to be, or they're not moving that right rear wheel where I would move it, or that's not how I would do it. So your mindset goes back again. I kind of want to own my own deal, so I can do it the way I want to do it. If we want to do it this way, that's how we're going to do it. If we're going to do it but you can do it your own way, or your own team's way. And I keep saying but there's no really my in our team. It's us as a collective whole make decisions, and we work together as a team, and I think that's why we have success. And so it's kind of just it comes full circle really of what you want as a race car driver and as a team owner. And I think like I said, starting out with my grandpa and Danny, driving for people, and then having my own team. Having your own team and having the financial backing and the people that believe in us, like I said before, that's what, without those people, I could say I want to own my own team and do all that. Without that financial help, you can't do it. I'm happy for me as a driver, but I think I've got more pride in seeing those guys you know, Chad Morgan and Chad Eli and Kecky Fallon and Mark Clemens and Greg King and Schnook and my Grandpa George, and there's a lot of other people that's helped us along the way. Grandpa George is probably the biggest part of this whole puzzle, and with Danny. Seeing the pride in their face when we run so good, especially at the Knoxville Nationals, you know, that's showing that their work pays off. To me, it's like a proud father almost, in a sense of the word. You know, where you're seeing your kid out there playing a sport and doing well, seeing how excited they are, and you know, wanting to be a part of what we're doing. To me, that excites me just as much as me running second personally. So it's I think seeing our team grow from where we started to where we are, and we're definitely not where we want to be yet. We want to continue to grow, and I think if anything else, running second this Knoxville Nationals showed us as a team that we can go out, we can compete with these guys. You know, Donnie Schwartz puts his pants on just like we do, and that's who we want to beat. So by going out and doing that, I think we definitely have the opportunity to grow as a team. We're a young team, and I feel like hopefully sooner than later we're going to win one of those Knoxville Nationals. We got a lot of goals we still want to accomplish. We really want to win 12 or 20 races. We've only won 8 so far, but I think we've won 8, but I think we got 14 second place finishes. So we definitely want to win 20 races, and I feel like with the team we have assembled, we can definitely do it.
Well, there's Brian Brown, a guy that I've got to feel is going to take the FVP.com Casey's General Store number 21 car to victory lane at the Knoxville National someday soon.
Oh, and sometimes you got to finish second to win a big race like that, and he's already accomplished that as well. I don't think I've ever seen Brian as happy as he was losing a feature race, but as a team owner, he knew what that payday was all about.
Kirk, we got a little programming note as well when it comes to RacinBoys TV. We've been coming on at 7 o'clock on Fridays before the live Lakeside Speedway broadcast. Those broadcasts are over for 2012. We'll be moving to Saturdays.
And 6 p.m. Join us for the first airing every week leading up through the Cup weekend here at Kansas Speedway. So we hope you join us each and every week through the fall.
For Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor. We are the RacinBoys. We'll see you next week right here on RacinBoys TV.